Okay, everyone, we are actually live on Facebook. And so good morning, everyone. This is my weekly session, Coffee with Scott. I said briefly, I'm kind of going to give this a new theme. It's going to be my cup of inspiration. I have my coffee with me. Love my coffee. So the idea here is, to give you some good, solid knowledge, to build your knowledge, I guess, and expand your skill set in the business, and ultimately, try to make you more successful. Another thing that I'm going to try to do differently, it will encourage others to join us. We seem to have consistently the same group of you in our Zoom, but I'm hoping to start attracting more, and I'm working hard to accomplish that. So I'm going to try to always broadcast in advance kind of what the subjects are going to be. So I did briefly do that. I only gave it one day. So today is about mastering the conversation. And so we're going to talk about that. But before I do, tell you what next week's going to be. It's going to be video marketing for beginners. Okay. And the week after is going to be lead generation through local events. So doing things with your local community to generate leads. So those are really good subjects. But today, mastering the conversation. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about how you have conversations with people, and does it lead you to opportunity? So what are you really saying when you're interfacing with people? Are you enhancing your personal values? Are you creating opportunities for yourself? Well, often we meet people out on the street, and hopefully you always carry a business card with you, right? Or a few of those. And do you have opportunities where you hand those out? Well, what are you actually doing and saying in the process of that? Create opportunity. And if I asked, Jessica, have you ever handed your business card out?
Yeah, I've handed out my business card yeah.
And so what do you typically say? I know what most realtors typically say, and that's not enough. And I'm not picking on you. Maybe you do have an elevator pitch.
I wouldn't say I have a script. It depends on the client, kind of how the conversation was going also. A lot of the business cards I gave out were to people at the restaurant. And I would catch them in the real estate conversation, oh, how's real estate going for you? Oh, it's going well. I have this going on. This is what I've been doing for my clients. If you know anybody, here's my card. And they're always very excited to, take my card. I've actually I left the restaurant in September. And since I left, I've actually gotten 3 referrals just from handing out business cards like that back then. So I've been pretty fortunate to kind of get that. Not sure if it's the way, but that's kind of how I've been doing it.
Yeah. So you're probably your environment, you didn't have a lot of talk time because you're probably actually on the job. So
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit different, but I'm talking where you're just out in the public and you seeing an opportunity. And so what we should be looking for is reasons to have conversations with people that we don't even know. And so how do you spark conversations with just other people that are around you in the same area, environment? And then what do you say? And I'll just kind of say this, and you can answer for yourself. Is this what I generally do? Oh, I'm in real estate. You hand them a business card and say, if you ever know anybody looking to buy or sell, have them call me. Does that sound pretty common? Because that's what most do. And then that person, I just know they're going to say, okay, I'm going to put that in my pocket. And when I go to bed, I'm going to pull it out of my pocket. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to put it in my new pant pocket. And then I'm going to carry them every day so that I can hand them out for you. Not going to happen, right? So typically that card is probably going to get lost somewhere in the opportunity is lost because you've only really met these people for a brief moment. Here's what and if you need a second to do this, please get a pen and paper, and I'm going to tell you some things and I want you to write them down. About 30 seconds here. And let's say, what is real estate as an agent? I want you to write down, real estate as an agent is a contact sport. It is a contact sport. And so tell me this, does this make sense? The more people I communicate and talk about real estate, the more business I'll leverage and close. The more people I talk real estate with, the more business I will leverage and close. The next thing is real estate as an agent requires building relationships. I saw, I just want to say, I saw a recent statistic of that NAR did a study to where they, figured out where most of your business is coming from. 50% of it is usually referral, repeat referral. However, this is an astonishing number. Only 14% of people use their same realtor when they did a second real estate transaction. Not good. So what are where are we lacking? And how can we, make sure we get that business again and to stay in communication, right? Because real estate is what? A contact sport. Okay. To grow as a real estate agent, I must create new relationships and strengthen my relationships with others every day. So I'm going to kind of use that as a moment to plug a tool that we provide you. What is that tool that helps us manage our our contacts? What is the tool that we use to manage
CRM?
The CRM. You must, you have to be in the transaction management, right, to fulfill the obligations of the office. That's helping fulfill my obligations, but why are most of us not fulfilling our own needs and obligations? We need to use the tools. That tool is way more important to you than our transaction management. Transaction management is important to me because we have to have those documents. But the most important tool that you should be using in your business is your CRM. And you need to try to plug data into that every single day, more than one time typically. So what is, and here's the big one. So what is your elevator pitch? What is it that you are prepared to say to create opportunities when you're just out and about and happen to be talking to someone that you've never met in life before, and you want to try to pitch opportunity? What are you saying? What is the pitch? That's what we're really going to talk about today. So what is your value propositions? What makes you uniquely valuable to someone? And if you don't know what those are, you need to try to sit down and analyze and create something that makes sense. And if you need me to bounce it off of, I'd be happy to. So here's some magical questions. Out of all the active agents in your market, why should someone in your sphere choose you? That's what you need to answer. Why you versus 1,000 or 1,800 or 6,000 other agents in your market? Why you to your sphere? Why you to sellers? Why you to buyers? Why should they choose you? What makes you the right choice? And you need to create what you're going to say based on that. So an elevator pitch, if you don't know what that is, and maybe I should explain it, is simply just you out there talking to someone on, that you don't really know, that you run into somewhere, and you just spark a conversation with a stranger. But at the end of the day, you want it to try to lead to opportunity. How many of you have an elevator pitch? Raise your hand. Candy does. Candy knows how to close all of you and get title business. So, she's doing a good job, is she not?
If you want to have a sweet closing.
Yeah. Okay, so most of us, we really don't have an elevator pitch. And so I want to change that today for you and give you some ammunition so that when you go after this meeting out and about, that you start crafting some good conversation with people and actually draw them in and create real genuine opportunities for yourself. And so the first thing I thought I would do is just kind of give you the format of creating your elevator pitch. And that's first, what are the common problems that consumers or people face today regarding real estate? What are common problems for buyers? What are common
No
problems?
inventory.
What, low inventory? So you still have low inventory? So it's still a hot market there. So not a lot of
Yeah.
choices. So buyers don't have many choices. And so what kind of pitch could you create to kind of give yourself opportunity based on what you just said? I know what it is already.
I need it. I showed a property on Friday. We
Right?
made an offer 25,000 over asking. There were 15 showings in 8 hours and there were 3 cash offers. We didn't get it.
Okay, so
And there's nothing else available in the neighborhood.
okay. Is that true or not true? There's nothing else on the MLS in the neighborhood. Okay, so you see where I'm going with that? You need to maybe see if you can uncover somebody
Yeah,
would be interested in selling. And so what I always teach you as an agent, that when you serve a buyer, you don't rely on just the MLS as the only way to find a home. You look backwards on the MLS, you might look at, Zillow and see there's some FSBOs, because there may be some expireds, and you need to reach out to those people and say, I understand that your home was on the market. I actually have a buyer that only wants to buy in your neighborhood. Would that be is there an opportunity that you might consider selling? And so you need to be that agent. And so your kind of your pitch in your elevator speech is that you go to the extreme for a buyer to unsurface an opportunity that maybe doesn't, isn't seen by other realtors that serve as well. So that's a great way to do that. So I go on. So here's the key thing is to try to create one sentence that you memorize that tells about who you serve, what your business is, and how you uniquely provide services. Create one single sentence about who you serve, what your business is, and how you uniquely provide services. And I'll give you a good example of that pretty soon. Then you should move to a short story where you amplify the problem that typically exists for the buyer or for the seller, and how you provided a solution for someone that you've already served. Now, you may not have that, so you'll just have to then make describe how you would provide a solution. But if there's any room or anywhere where you have had a closing with a previous customer that you can use in your elevator speech to describe how you solved that common problem, that's going to go a long ways. Does that make sense? And we'll talk about an example of what I'm saying. Then you have to end with a call to action. Ask for the opportunity to provide your services. You always have to ask for the opportunity. And it may not be the right time. They may not be buying or selling, but maybe they know somebody. You know, you might meet an elderly couple and they say, yes, my daughter just got married and they're getting ready to look for their very first home. So what would your elevator speech be? It would be about how you help first-time home buyers. How I remember when I was working with Susan and George, they were a newlywed couple, getting ready to have their first child, and blah, 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 blah. You think I could help your daughter? So those make good elevator speech. So create a short story that solves the problem, that can be relatable and connect emotionally. So let's talk about that. What are some of the common, issues in today's market? Why wouldn't a seller want to sell, or why would a buyer choose not to buy? You should know these things.
Well, the buyers are concerned about the interest rates.
Okay. So the buyers are concerned about the interest rate. So you would kind of shift immediately to, I understand that. Do you currently own? And the response could be, I rent, or, probably I rent. And okay, so, I remember helping a couple, and they were given 100% of their money to the landlord. And they were a couple that didn't have any money saved. And the first thing I did was I hooked them up with a lender that had down payment assistance. And then when we found the right home for them, I was able to negotiate the seller to pay the closing costs for the buyer. Now they live in a beautiful home.
Mm-hmm.
See what I just did?
Yeah.
That's the story. So now they're paying 7% instead of 100%. When would you like to own a home?
Oh, very good.
Well, Scott, working in this business from the lending side and now this side as well, it is about pivoting. You're exactly right. You got to pivot when people tell you things. That's what I find, and I like the illumination, the storytelling, because, everybody can relate to something. And everybody's an opportunity. That's the way I look at it. I go to the gym, I make sure I have some cards in my pocket. It's just, everybody knows somebody. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so if you ask, who do you know right now looking to buy or sell? Oh, my daughter. Oh, my neighbor. Oh, if you can ask one more question to figure out their situation a little bit, then tell the story.
Yeah.
Your story that pivots them. I like the concept of pivot. So just what I said, if I were really talking to somebody, did I just make a home run compared to just not getting off of or getting strikeout by saying, oh, here's my cards. If you know anybody looking to buy or sell, call me.
Yes.
It's
Nah.
the biggest difference, absolutely.
You're going to give out all your cards and nobody's calling you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is why you got to do this. So what are some of the other issues? Interest rates was named.
Scott, I would definitely say for the sellers, they're not getting the price that they were getting, for instance, a
Mhm.
year ago. So they're
Mhm.
mad because they're missing the market. That's what I hear from a lot of the people that are getting ready to list, potential lists is they're like, we got to get it on the market now. They're thinking, right now especially is I
Okay.
guess the hot time, but it's not as hot as it still was previous. So that's where I see is they're kind of bummed that they're not getting the prices that they feel that they, deserve. But in reality, it's, it's not that time anymore.
Correct. But what do we know? What do we know when we're talking to a seller that's selling their primary residence? Do they have to have a place to live?
Mhm.
So are they going to buy in the same market they're selling? So they're
Yeah,
getting,
but they don't want to give up their interest rate that was lower.
Yeah, yeah.
so, that's, and that may be a blocker to move, but, and so I created an example to, kind of to say that, I ran into an elderly couple, and mentioned I was in the real estate business. And so here's my kind of my one liner. Okay. My passion is helping buyers or sellers achieve buying and selling real estate by always first getting a real understanding of their situation and needs.
Mm.
It's always about them. Okay. And so the response was, they say, how is the market? And I say, are you buying or selling? Because my pitch is going to be different
Mm.
depending on the response to that question.
Yeah.
They respond, we are thinking about selling and moving back up north to be closer to our children and grandchildren. My story. I often get asked when is the best time to sell. There is not any real time that is not good to sell, since most of the time my sellers are buyers in the same market. Will you be buying when you relocate up north? Yes. Great. I recently helped a grandparent couple do the exact same thing that you're considering. When I first spoke to them, they were concerned about the market and price they would get for their home. I was able to connect them with a great real estate agent in their new location and successfully help them buy a home up north so they could immediately spend precious time with family as they desired. I was able to list their home and get them a price that made sense. They are so happy they made the decision not to wait for the undetermined time that it might take for prices to increase, and realize that it did not make a difference because the home they would buy would just be more expensive too. For them, extra time with family was most important. I was so thrilled I was able to help them accomplish their desire and be close to family. When would you like to be near your family? So I read that because I wrote it for this class, but that's sort of what you need to do. Provide a story that provides, that's relatable, that makes sense. And that truly, at the end of the day, that seller is buying in the same market. So they're not really losing out. The only thing that they could be losing, what Elizabeth said, was the interest. So how much is the interest rate gonna, weigh towards waiting? Because the first thing that I'm gonna tell everyone right now, we'll never see interest rate. I mean, it'll be a miracle to ever see interest rates like that ever again. That was just unrealistically low. And so so my story would be to that couple is, are you willing to wait 5, 10 years, 20 years? In other words, are you waiting until the grandchildren are grown and have families of their own to finally be with them because of 3% of interest? And most of the time, the couple at that age should realistically have their home paid off or close to paid off.
Yeah.
So it's not a, a big thing, and there's probability, maybe they're selling a bigger home and buying a smaller one. There's a probability that they're selling in a more expensive community and don't need the property when they move back north, so that they may be selling, and let's say they're selling something for $400,000 and they have $300,000 equity. But when they go up north, they find that they're only have to spend $250,000 to buy what's suitable for them and put $50,000 in the bank. So they're not buying a mortgage.
Mhm.
That might be a good question. Or will you need to finance, or will you be able to pay cash for the home up north? Because if they answer yes to that question, then I know I don't have the hurdle of the interest rate in the puzzle.
Mhm.
Anybody have any questions? So far, what we understood is you need to create a one-liner to describe who you serve, what you do, and how you do it, that connects with them and makes them feel some passion in the services you provide. You need to understand the problem based on who you're talking with that they generally have, be able to tell a story or describe, solve the problem. And then call to action or ask for business. And it could be somebody they know. And if you do a great job at describing or telling the story to them, and it's compassionate and it drives some emotion, then they will be like, okay, yeah, I think that you would do a great job for my neighbor or my friend or my son or my whatever. To help. Anyone want to add anything or ask any questions? We have a good handle on this.
Mhm.
Want to do a session this afternoon and you're going to tell me your elevator speech. No, I'm kidding. So when you have, and one of my first examples was a very young couple, you could tell that they were married because they were wearing wedding rings, but they looked like they were, barely 18 or 19 years old. What typically, is their hurdle? What is their hurdle?
No down payment, probably.
No money. They want to buy a home, but they don't have money. So I gave a story that told them that they can buy a home without money. I recently worked with that were married and expecting their first child. And the first thing I did was hook them up with a lender that had resources for down payment assistance. And then when we found the perfect starter home for them to buy, I was able to negotiate the closing cost into the deal. And therefore they were able to buy a home with.
Mhm.
When would you like to buy your first home?
Mhm.
It's way better than saying, oh, I help first-time home buyers. Let's go shop homes.
Mhm.
Maybe not, they will choose you to go shop homes, but what I just said, they will probably say yes to me and we'll go shop homes because I showed them or demonstrated through a story how I provide services and that I actually know how to help them buy a home. And it was like a 3-minute story, 2-minute story. Do you have elevator speech, Frank?
I don't know about elevator speech, but I'm not afraid to talk to people.
There you go. I know you don't.
I'm not afraid to give my card out. I met a guy Saturday. I actually I have a couple of calendars that I made up. They're magnets,
Right.
and I've been keeping those in my pocket. So instead of just giving a card, I'm giving them a calendar, something that they can actually use. And it's got all my information on it.
Excellent. So that's really good. So just make sure you have another so in order for you to talk your elevator speech, right, you have to be where? Where do you have
Out.
to- you
Out
have
and about.
out and about. So, we all go to the grocery store, we all go out to eat, we go to, entertainment venues, there's just a magnitude of places that we go to. But how many places are we trying to, see an opportunity to crack a conversation? So, and so that's something that's a necessity. We need to, make an attempt, and we have to be out to do it. So one of the things that I, always highly recommend is, we pretty much all have our home office, right? But maybe, choosing to be out, go to the coffee shop and sit and do some of your computer work there, and try to meet and greet people. One of the first things, and I think back that my daughter did, which I'm not too much into, but was like a smoothie shop or something. They had fruit drinks or something, and she would go up there, routinely 2 or 3 mornings every week. And it wasn't very long into it that the people that were running the organization were telling her, oh, that I had this customer come in, and I told them about you, and then started getting business. So the owners of the place were actually helping her business because she got in there and made a relationship with the owners, and she became a regular customer. So, these are some of the things that you got to do. So one thing you got to do is get out. Do not stay isolated, get out and about. And then the other is just having a comfort level to figure out how to crack conversations with people. So how do you have or start a conversation with someone? Typically you can, compliment something, their attire, or maybe you're in a grocery store and they have a particular food item, and you're like, oh, okay, I've never tried that. What how long tell me a little bit. It's just a way to open up the conversation and then lead it into being able to talk a little bit about your real estate and do your one-liner, and then sort of ask them, anybody in the market for buying and selling, and then give them a short story, and then see if you can close an opportunity. But that's all that happens. So the one thing that we have to do pretty much on a daily basis to grow our business is figure out reasons to talk to people. And so I wrote down a few different ideas on that. So, if you want to write these down, or they're pretty standard if you want. Are you leveraging ways and reasons to speak to new people every day? A big one to me is door knocking around your listings, inviting neighbors to your open house events. It's just a reason. So you're looking for a reason to communicate with people, and you're in that particular scenario, all you're doing is inviting them over to see the home that you're hosting the open house, and you're the big realtor doing all the hard work to sell that home. And I think back to very recent, my own son, I told him he needs to do that. He did not do that. And about 3 weeks ago, one home went up for sale right across the street. And this week, another home went up for sale 3 doors down. And to me, that was huge missed opportunity. because he would have had a huge chance at learning that business. So one of the things that you could do if you do open houses, which, I think are really good right now, there's a lot of activity in open houses, is making an opportunity. Now, if you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to do it alone. Maybe bring somebody with you. And really all you're doing is saying, hey, come over and see this open house. Now, you don't necessarily going to give an elevator pitch there. I don't think that's the space to give an elevator pitch, but when they come to the home, if they actually make the time to come to the home, then they're curious. They're curious for either potentially putting their home for sale and doing a show, doing a comparison. Maybe they're scouting a realtor to help them with that, and they're checking you out for that. But then if they actually come, now that's a different space. I'm great that you came over. Is there any particular reason? Do you know somebody looking to buy or sell in your neighborhood? And now the elevator pitch kicks in, right? How about talking to the waiter or waitress when you're, being served at a restaurant? Do you own a home? Do you know anybody looking? And then your elevator pitch. Talking to a store clerk sitting nearby you in a coffee shop or bar, someone. And I think Brink does some of those. But I know, Jessica, you go to a coffee shop. I think you've been with Ashley a couple times. Engaging with the person in front or behind you in the store line. Talking to a person on the opposite side of the gas pump. Sometimes you remember some things that happened. So when I was teaching, working, what we call talking to people in the same kind of training, always have stories that stick out to me. And I remember teaching this, and then immediately after the training, one of our agents went to and put gas in her vehicle, and on the opposite side was a gentleman driving. It was definitely a work truck. He was in plumbing. I think that was the story. And she says, hey, she cracked a conversation. She exchanged business cards because she says, well, if you do plumbing, maybe if I have a buyer and we, home inspection has plumbing issues, I would have somebody to refer. And the guy called her back, I think a day or two later, and listed his $450,000 home with her. So it's again, just trying to have conversations. Participating alongside you at a community network, you get involved. So that was something else I really wanted to speak about at the beginning of this, and really quick jumping off topic, but we had our first Give Back Day. Jessica Coleman was with us. It was an amazing event, and we raised $1,380, which we killed. We were just hoping to get a few bucks, but we ended up with $1,380 for the National Pediatric Foundation, Cancer Foundation. So we were really thrilled, and we have another Give Back Day event this Friday at the SPCA in Pasco County. But these are kinds of things that you can get involved in, and you might find your own. But when you get involved in these things and you connect and relate to each other to do great things for the community, there should, sometimes there's business opportunities that lie inside that as well, because you start to meet people. Again, it's all about meeting people and building relationships. That's what's important in this business. And we want business that's, easy to obtain, and we want to do a great job when we do it. But participating alongside other people in the community to do charitable things or getting involved in networking groups is another amazing way. And in the same, your elevator pitch will be appropriate to these opportunities. And then here's one, which was a big deal for me, in which I did this quite often when I was an active agent. was I attended, and you might find this strange, but I attended yard sales and garage sales and communities, especially that I was really focused on building my business. And I did it a little bit later in the day when there wasn't so many people crowded there. And I always talked to the owners and said, hey, who that's looking to buy or sell a home? And, they would often think, and then if it seemed appropriate, I would give my elevator space pitch based on what they told me. Oh my, maybe we're having the yard sale because we're getting ready to put a home up for sale. Oh, great. So blah, blah, blah. But there's opportunities there, especially when you're pinpointing, to build more business in a particular subdivision or community, then you want to find your way in and out. And again, what did I just say? Reasons to talk to people. So if I want to eventually have my yard signs in the Gulf Harbors community, what is one of the things I have to do? I have to get in there and talk to the owners, get to know the owners, build the relationships. So do you think it's a pretty simple way to actually be invited on their property and be able to talk with them if they're having a garage sale or yeah, absolutely. And then you always ask the magical question. So, and there may be others. If anyone think of any others that I didn't mention, it'd be great to hear what you might say regarding that. Or give us some tips on what you do to meet and greet people. But I just named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was-
I personally, Scott, like to ask people questions about themselves, because if eventually when you talk about, everyone loves it when you talk about, when you ask them, because now how many people come up and ask you about yourself? How are you? What do you do for a living? How long you been in the business? Don't make it about yourself, make it about them, because then it makes them feel good. It makes them happy, and always try to make it memorable, because I don't know if you guys have met me, I can talk to anyone and I don't need a reason. So I will literally make up anything. So it doesn't matter. But no, just be positive and say something to make them smile. Oh, you have a nice shirt. Look at your earrings. Those are really cute. That's a really good, easy conversation starter that makes someone smile and immediately have like that glowing eye towards you.
Exactly. And that's exactly right. It's you, not I. You take it in them. Have you always lived in Florida? What brought you to Florida? Can you see yourself living here the rest of your life? You, not I. Never I, always you. Be interested in them.
I find it's helpful to ask people about their family. They all like to talk about their family pretty much. I mean, unless it's a single guy or something, but wherever you go, somebody knows somebody. That's the way I look at it, Scott. And just, building relationships, talking about their family. A lot of people don't really want to talk about their job per se, but some do. But mainly it's just about their, how are things going? Oh, anything, anything you feel, it's watching their nonverbals. That makes a big difference. You feel like you're making a connection.
So it's slightly maybe off topic a little bit, but I just had a couple more things. So how many, I guess, probably most of us is at least received a referral in our business now. Can I say that? So I want you to, do you want to continue to always receive referrals from that referral source? Yeah. You want to build and hopefully receive referrals from more people. So I just want to make sure that you're really vesting into showing a huge amount of gratitude for the people that gave you referrals. And the first thing that I'm going to suggest and you should do is, we have these little cards that you can get from the office, and when you join the company, we gave you a few starters, and they're basically got the logo on them, and they say thank you. You have to handwrite a thank you card. and put it in the mail. And just write, you know, how much you appreciate that they provided your referral. Don't put a business card in it. And that's too much, but just to say thank you. The other thing is, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you know, it's been a while. I really appreciate the referral. I'd love to take you to lunch. You can take people to lunch and no. And there's nothing wrong with that, and just being, you know, creating a, you know, stronger connection. The other thing that you should always do, you might want to write all this down, is follow up with them and tell them a little bit about what has, you know, what's been established with the referral that you received. Almost, you know, pretend like they're the boss and that you need to give an update. I just want you to know that we went out and we looked at homes for the first time. Didn't find exactly what we're looking for yet, but I'm at it. And I wanted to thank you again for the referral. Because if you just take the referral and don't communicate back, they don't have really an idea, you know, how is it going? They may, you know, they may even cringe talking to the person that was referred because they don't know what's happened. But when you do that, then what have you absolutely established? Because again, this business is a contact sport, and it's about, you know, creating relationships. They will be all on it to send you another referral because of those steps. One, a gratitude. And the secondly, that you've taken a couple initiative times where you just contacted them back and said, hey, I just wanted to call and say hi and stuff, and I wanted to let you know how we're doing. And that's just gonna concrete that referral source really well. So think about that. And the last thing is to remind you that the CRM is really the brains of your operation, and you need to feed it every day. So you need to, one, go out and try to meet and greet new people. And so you should create one single goal for yourself every single day. Try to find at least one new person to put in your CRM every day. If you put one new person and you only work 5 days a week, that's about 250 new contacts a year. Okay, 6% of those people buy or sell a home. And that doesn't count the people they know. And they're not having to go out and beg for business. You're making business happen by just getting out, meeting, greeting, talking to people, and doing, you know, a good job following up and keeping in touch. And you can do a fair amount of business. You might have other lead sources in which you might, especially if the market, I mean, we're fortunate here in Florida that, you know, I'm hearing stories, multiple offers still and no inventory. But I'm going to tell you, it's sad on some of the other parts of the country, they're not doing so well in the business right now. So when you know, some of these, you know, national real estate companies, they're talking a different tone than what we're seeing in our market. They're like, there's no business going on. Some communities and states, and they're starving right now. We're doing we're still doing well. And I feel that we'll continue to do that. So we'll be less affected than what, you know, other areas of the country are. So we need to continually take advantage of it. And thank God that we're not dealing with some of the problems other areas are having in their industry. So add one new contact. If you can get to 2, that's 500 people in your database. And 500 people, 6%, that would be, what is that? 5 new deals. Just out of your contact database alone, not counting other things, so. Anyone want to add anything else? I hope you enjoyed this. So a part of business as well is marketing. So what are you doing to market yourself? One of the notable strongest ways to market is through social media. And the very best way to market through social media is video. You're like, oh boy, Scott. So, you know what? We're just people, right? You don't have to be an actor to do video. You just have to be you to do video. But so that's the big conversation next week. Is we're going to talk about video marketing for beginners. And we're going to go through, a lot of different things, the hardware, the software, the concept, what types of things that you would video and what works, what doesn't work, and all those things. And I can assure you, when I first started doing this Zoom meetings, I had a very bad comfort zone. But what happens? You do enough of them and it's like, no big deal now. I actually enjoy doing them, but I didn't in the beginning. Not talking to my computer for an hour, but it all shifts. So what's out of your, and there is a known fact, when you do stuff outside your comfort zone, that's where things actually can happen. So video is strong. And if you're not doing video and you see that should be something you can consider, then obviously be with me and I'm going to go through it. And I can tell you that it can make a huge difference on the marketing aspect of getting opportunities is doing video. So I thank you very much for spending the hour with me. And hopefully I gave you a cup of inspiration today.
Nice.
Is it good? And we will, I think tomorrow afternoon, there's a webinar put on by the company that does our CRM, and they're going to talk about referral sources. So that's in the back office. Obviously, you got Cindy's roundtable. And then we just have a whole venue of amazing training. And as I spoke at the awards banquet, the training that we're trying to provide works for every agent, not just newbies or whatever. This is for everyone. So we hope that we, can continue. And if you can encourage some of the fellow agents in the brokerage that they're missing out and they're not learning and growing, then please do that as well. And again, if you can participate in our or register to participate in our Give Back Day this coming Friday at the Pasco SPCA, that would be great. This is not a fundraiser where we're asking for money. It's simply helping one of the animal shelters do some stuff to the facility and play with the animals. So we'd love to have you come out. If you come out, we give you one of our red shirts that says you participated, and then each time you get involved with the different Give Back Day events, we ask that you wear the red t-shirts. And thank you very much.
There's a mixer tonight too at West Pasco.
Yep, I'll be there. I was asked by someone to be a partner. I guess there's a cornhole tournament, so I'm gonna go.
I want to play.
Well, then you'll find a partner, but so we'll see. It's been a while. I like the game, so that's it. The old folks game of horseshoes, cornhole.
The guys at CPF Mortgage, they're like professional cornholers.
Oh, okay. Well,
Craig Hanley and Tyler and all them. Yeah, so
we'll be competing. So, all right. So those of you that can make it there, I'll be seeing you. And again, thank you for joining me and take care. Thank you, Candy. Candy is Elite Closing Group, and she
Thank you for the great info.
closings for most of you. If you haven't tried Elite Closing Group, Frank, should they try Elite Closing Group? They do okay.
So far, so good, Candy and Hallie.
Pretty sweet, right? Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
She's gonna try, and there's I mean, there's so many people behind the scenes, I don't even know all their names, so it's a big.
We have Hallie, Stephanie, Candy, Cassie, Gigi. Gigi likes to do mobile notary. She also likes to do weddings. So if you're getting married, you know, we got a girl for that, whatever you need.
And get a house, get them married.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's been a pleasure getting to know all you guys, and I've known some of you for quite some time, but it's been a pleasure getting to know you guys over the last few months. So
Okay. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you again, folks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Scott.
Bye.
On your elevator, bitch. Take care.
Bye.